Welcome, everyone. It is a glorious Tuesday. Thank you all for being here today. I know it's early, but today, let us touch briefly, not by might, not by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. Not by might. What does it mean? You see, when we want things to happen, we think we have to force things. We think we have to figure it out. We think we have to sort it out. We think we have to get over things. But that is not the case. That is not the case. Not by might, not by power, but by my spirit. By your spirit means your imagination. If we look at that Bible story of Joshua and the Battle of Jericho, maybe you know it, maybe you don't. You see, perhaps there's an obstacle in your way, a wall, perhaps, as there was with Joshua. Perhaps there's a wall. There was nothing that he could have done physically to bring that wall down. He didn't have a wrecking ball, didn't have any of those things. But what he had was spirit. How so? Well, God said to him, I want you to march around this wall. Just march. You know what? I cannot imagine that I would have marched. I'm telling you right now, I cannot imagine that I would have marched. I would have looked God in the eye and said, what now? March. How's that going to bring down the wall? How is me marching going to bring down the wall, God? Like, maybe in your all-seeing world, you could just tell me more? See what we want? We want to know before we know. So when you hear not by might or not by power, it means you are not going to use the things of this world. Because perhaps you don't have the things of this world. So what else can you use? Your imagination. But Angela, isn't that just daydreaming? Yes and no. Yes and no. We all imagine. We all daydream. What a day for a daydream, right? We all daydream. But the difference between the daydream and deliberately using your imagination is the feeling that you get from it. That is how you know. When you have been moved in your spirit is when you know that something has happened on the outside that you can't quite see just yet. Let me say it again. When you are moved on the inside spiritually, well, then you will know that something is moving on the outside. You have set things in motion. How? How? Like this. You know how we sit and we reminisce and we think about something and we start to cry because it moves you? It actually moved you, or it makes you angry and you get up and you're like, ah, and you know, somebody better not cross you. The feeling that causes you to act. You see, we keep thinking about thoughts all the time. Thoughts are effects. The mood is the cause. You don't just have thoughts random willy-nilly. Your thoughts emerge as the effect of your mood. And we are always in a mood. We are always in a mood. So you see the mood? The mood makes you do what? Well, you start to see things in your mind's eye. You start to hear things in your mind's ear. You just, something just is there. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. I can't always put it into words for you, but I want you to test yourself here. You know, when you're at work and you're busy plugging away at the computer, and then there's a thought in the back of your mind. You hear it, right? Mm-hmm. Nothing happens to you. It's just there. That thought is just, eh. But then something else happens. And you're like, where is that coming from? You see, that thought that we have shows us the mood we're in. And the mood that you're in, this is why I'm telling you, not by might, not by power. It's the spirit. That thing that moves you mentally. Why I oughta. You see? We feel. That's the difference between the daydream and the use of the imagination deliberately. Nobody gets up and carves anything from marble because, well, I'm bored today. No. Whatever they saw in their mind's eye moved them so much that they had to get out a mallet and a chisel and start tap, tap, tapping away. If you hear a great songwriter, they say what? Man, I just sat there and the song just came out of me. Because, I was just feeling a particular way. I can attest to that. I can attest to short stories as well. That's what I'm saying to you. You cannot force it. Oh, I feel like writing a book. Okay. You feel like writing a book, but when the feeling of the book overtakes you, you write the book. I'm going to say it to you again. You might feel like writing a book, but when the book makes you feel, well, then you write it. That's why you can sit there and write it within 2-3 hours and it's done. And you're like in awe. Well, how'd that happen? I've been trying to write for 2 years and all of a sudden it just pours out of me. Yeah, because you were in a mood. You were moved by spirit. So then Joshua fit the battle of Jericho. He didn't have a tank. He didn't have a wrecking ball. I want to do it. Ooh, I can't like it. Anyway, he didn't have a wrecking ball. But he heard Joshua march around this wall. And on the 7th time, I want you to blow your trumpet. Listen, I told you before, I would have asked God if he was nuts. Blow my trumpet and that's going to bring the wall down? Please. Now, but you've got to believe in what you feel. Because that's what makes you act. If you believe that it is true, like for instance, you're going down the hallway at school and you heard somebody say something about you, you know, you heard somebody say something about you. Oh, and you heard it. They didn't say it to you, they said it about you, but you heard it and it made you feel some type of way because one day you got up and you were just tired of somebody talking about you all the time and you slapped a heifer. Slapped the taste right out of her mouth. That's what you did. Mind you, you didn't get up that morning with the intent on slapping anybody. But you were moved. You see, whether it is good, bad, or indifferent, when you are moved by spirit, you act. When you don't feel like doing the dishes, when you don't feel like going to work, when you don't feel like doing something, you don't do it. But you know what will make you go to work? These bills don't pay themselves. And the what? The feeling, that fear that comes over you that says, well, I don't want to be living under the bridge. I don't want to be doing the, I need to. Yeah, you see what moves you to go? Even, and it is the resentment sometimes that will move you to go to work. You see, you know what I'm talking about. That's what I'm trying to describe to you. Good, bad, or indifferent. It doesn't matter where that comes from, good, bad, or indifferent. The fact of the matter that I want you to notice is that you are moved by spirit. You say something moved within me and you got up and you did it. Well, nobody forced you. Listen, you can holler at a child all day. I saw this video of this man who said his daughter skipped school to be with her friends, and so he redesigned her room to be like a prison cell. Now, there was a man who had had enough, but there was also a girl, his daughter, who was moved to act the way she did. But at no time did anybody sit down to say, hey, why would you do that? What would move you to act in such a fashion? You see, daddy can see the big picture, right? Well, he can see part of the picture sometimes. If this child doesn't go to school, child service is gonna be here. Da, 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 fear. So he acts and he thinks that if I don't do something radical, she will not change. You see, so he was moved. But she was also moved by whatever her friends said or suggested. She was moved by it for what? Well, I want to keep my friends. I want to be liked. You see, comprehension is a big deal. When you comprehend what moves you, well, now you're in the driver's seat. How so? You see, we're going to talk about the algorithm a little bit later on this week. Remind me, I'm sipping my tea. When you are moved by something, something you heard, something you saw, something you smelled. Oh, that's a big one for me. If I go into the grocery store and I smell guavas, I must find where they are, because now I can start to see, I'm going to make guava cheese. I'm going to make guava jelly. I'm going to make guava jam. Sweet treats. Why? Because the smell flashes me right back. My father used to bring home guavas for me. And listen, you can smell a ripe guava from afar. You might not know what a guava is if you didn't grow up in the tropics. But the smell. See? You see what smells do? I can smell Old Spice cologne and I'm thinking of my uncle. I can smell Brute cologne and I'm thinking of my daddy. Of course. See? The smell moves you. And then all of a sudden you're like, ooh, that smells so good. Ooh, I just want, and you want to eat that favorite thing you're smelling right now. Was it done by force? Was it done by might? Was it done by power? No. It was done by spirit. Well, the smell triggered you to do something. So this is why I'm saying to you, when you are living in this world, you will be moved to act. But watch what moved you. And there's a reason I'm saying that to you. If you are not the one, right, to instigate that mental movement, who is? And so whoever is making you move mentally is the one who controls you. Well, how so? You ever heard a good jingle on a commercial? Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. You heard a good, you know exactly what that's from. Or you want it. Cheese whiz. Listen, I love commercials because I just like the jingle. Because I like to sing. So I like the jingle. And if you put it in a song, I'm going to be dancing and I'll sing and I'll remember. Right? Snap, crackle, pop, Kellogg's Rice Krispies. Listen, you are moved by certain things. I am moved by a good melody, a good harmony, a good story. I am moved to do something. But so are you. So what is moving you? You see, you don't need to be forced to do anything. Persuasion. And the persuasion comes in a form that you cannot necessarily pinpoint all the time. It is not by brute force. Well, we know exactly what I'm talking about. Remember, if you will, 2 to 3 years ago. Put your mask on. Do this. And what happened? You were moved to do what? Nobody forced you to stay indoors. But it was that movement, that fear that said, what if? And you stayed indoors. But then perhaps if you were more of the rebellious type and you were like, please, I ain't scared of you. Well, you know how Bernie Mac said it, right? What I'm trying to convey to you is this: not by might, not by power, but by spirit. So it means you've got to get into your imagination and stir yourself. Why sleepest thou, O Lord? Rouse thyself. Why sleepest thou? You see, when that thing moves you mentally, you will physically act. Nobody gets up and says, I'm going to do this today. No, no, no. Something moves them to do it. And it depends. You can get a little bit of movement, a little bit of a stirring, yes, but you wouldn't act. But you'll get a little bit more of a stirring, a little bit more. And you say, ooh, I feel like it. Ooh, I feel like it. And then you see the momentum builds. And then it builds in such a fashion that you have to get up and move. For instance, you hear that favorite song that you love. Well, what do? Nobody forced you to get on the dance floor. You heard that song and you were moved mentally, and thus your feet had to move physically. Your feet and your booty had to move because you moved mentally. I trust these examples are making sense for you so that when you go down the street, you drive down, you walk down the street, you go down the grocery store aisle, you go to school, you go to work, you go to the airport, you go to the mall. It doesn't matter where you go. Something moves you, and that is why you go. Spirit moves you. Spirit moves you. But you have to be the one in charge of that spirit that moves you. Well, where is the spirit? There it is. There it is. You cannot see the air, the wind. You can capture it, sure. What would make you see it? A really cold morning. You'd see it. Spirit is what moves us. Every day, all day. So learn to use it. And here's how we're going to do it, because I got 6 minutes. How to move. What do you want? The moment you stop and you ask yourself, what do I want? How do I want my life to change? What do I want my life to change? What area do I want my life to change in? And you sit there and you think about it. Well, what would it be like if your world and your life changed? What would it be like? How would it make you feel? Yes, that's where you begin. What would it feel like to me if I got up and I was the man or the woman I wanted to be? What would that feel like to me? How would my day go? How would my mother see me? How would my father see me? How would my sisters? Who would talk about me? See? And the more you start to entertain what it would be like, you start to get a little bit of a stirring in your soul, don't you? Of course you do. Ooh, well, if I did this, you know, she would, man, she gonna be gossiping about me all the time. Or, if I change this, that would be so awesome. I would never have to worry again. And you start to feel. And the more you make yourself feel it, there will come a time, there will come a climax, a precipice. Something pulls you and you will act. It doesn't tell you that you have to go out and find the right people, make the right connections. It doesn't say that to you. It says feel it. And once you feel it, you see those people that you need to know? If you want to say miraculously, coincidentally, they showed up. No, they showed up because you were moved spiritually. And you sent a ripple through time. Where'd you hear that before? You see, we think that our feelings stop at us. No, they don't. Why do you think you get mob mentality? It doesn't just stop at the one person. No, it trickles into everybody who's there, who's open to it. So that is how the mob is influenced by one person. Because the feeling within them stirs and rouses them, and it permeates. So you see, we have all of these real world examples, but yet we don't want to believe it. And that's the key. You shouldn't believe it, observe it. So what do you want for your life? Yeah, but this person, yeah, but I am not asking you about George today. I'm not asking you about Katie. I am not asking you about Peggy Sue or Etta Mae. I am asking you, what do you want in your life? What do you want to change? You want to be respected? Shoot, you can't walk down the road and beat somebody into submission to respecting you. That would be by might. That would be by power. But to get respect, you must feel what it feels like to have respect flowing through you. And then everybody around you will respect you. Not because you forced them, but you were moved with self-respect. Anywho. Whew, let me just rein it in just a little bit. I understand. Some people would say, well, I overstand. I'm not here to split hairs and semantics. I know what feels. And I know when I get up in the morning and I feel a particular way. And I say, well, I just gotta say this. You do the exact same thing. Yes, we do it. And we do it like, man, if you don't leave me alone, you don't want none of this. That's what we say to ourselves. Why is it so easy for us to cuss somebody out? Because that is what moves you. The underlying injustice, the underlying anger moves you. But why do you want to be moved by that? Do you not want to be moved by something else? Listen, everything in its own time. Sometimes anger is required to move you. Sometimes kumbaya is required to move you. So that's why you check yourself. Right where you are, check yourself. If I move like this, what's going to happen? Well, employ the law of cause and effect. If I do this, you can see the outcome. If somebody has to catch these hands, whoop, whoop, you know exactly what will happen. And somebody's going to have your video all over the internet and your mugshot. And how do they find you to take that mugshot when you at your worst? Lord have mercy. They never find you cute and bougie for your mugshot, do they? No. So, what is moving you to act? You can feel it. Yes. You can feel it. And I told you yesterday, sometimes we feel, right? And we want to bury what we feel. No. What you feel is telling you what mood you're in, and what mood you're in is going to tell you those thoughts you're going to have, and it's going to tell you the words you're going to say, and it is going to tell you the actions that you're going to do. So pay attention to your feelings, not because they're bad, not because they're good, not because they're indifferent, but because you want to hear the message that they're telling you so that you can act accordingly. You can say, you know what? If I slap a heifer, the police gonna come. Instead of doing what? Jumping in there and slapping the heifer, and then, oh my God, Your Honor, I don't know what came over me. You see? We do it all day, every day. Trust me. I know. Oh, I do. And we harangue ourselves when we make a mistake. Right? Don't judge yourself. I will tell you that every day, all day, until you stop judging yourself. What do I mean? Oh my God, I'm so dumb. Why did I do that? I'm such a loser. I'll never be any good. I'll never be as good as these people. Oh my God. Judging yourself. You see what it makes you feel like? And now that it makes you feel like you're dragging yourself through the valley of the shadow of death, right? You just dragging. And you don't want to do anything. You don't feel like doing anything. You know why you don't feel like doing anything? Oh, because the feeling has to match. And the feeling that is presently moving you doesn't want to make you act. It makes you want to withdraw within yourself. Fancy that it sounds like depression. And why do you think people say, oh yeah, but it's chemically imbalanced? Well, it would have to be. Well, as within, so without. If the mood is depressing, your body has to show you depression by way of its chemical makeup. Just like if you laugh a lot, you're going to have a lot of endorphins in the body, thereby less pain. So this is why when you are living with chronic pain, depression is there. It has to be. Because as within, so without. The pain is overwhelming, and it is heavy, and it bogs you down. So chemically speaking, in your body, it has to show. But we stop right there and we say, well, I just can't get out of bed in the morning. Listen, if you can't get out of bed in the morning, here's something. We're going to get a little bit of spiritual smelling salts for you today. Because I know what it feels like to not open the blinds and not want to get out of bed. But what would it be like if you did? What would it be like if you could embody Julie Andrews? Oh, the hills are alive. What if you could embody that for like 30 seconds? Oh, sure, people would think you're crazy. But what's that got to do with them? That's their opinion of you, so it got you out of bed. It made you laugh and roll out of bed and go, she crazy. But you got out of bed. And the moment you get out of bed and you do what? You feel a little bit better. Do you know what happens? You begin to feel a little bit better, and you begin to feel a little bit better, and a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more until, well, hot dog, you had a good day. But it also works in reverse. You feel bad, and you keep entertaining it. Oh, I feel so bad. And you feel worse, and you feel worse, and you feel worse. I'm just showing you the pendulum swings both ways. So you get to be the one to decide. How do I want to feel? You see, all of our love songs, how do I get through a night? You see, we end up singing that song, and then we say, oh my God, but I love you so much, I can't live without you. Wait, what? Honey, you can't live without air in your lungs. But all of our love songs tell us these things. And we end up and we are, oh, sad movies always make me cry. And we sing about them with such pleasure, don't we? But how about you sing a good song for a minute? Do you want to get down? Do you want to get down? Hmm? That's what I'm trying to show you today. It is that feeling. Get down on it. Please don't come for me, YouTube, because, oh, I can't help myself. Just take your royalties. I don't care. Right? Get your back up off the wall and dance. Like, you hear that song and it moves you. You see? That's what I'm telling you. Not by might, not by power, but by spirit. You are moved mentally first. Why? Oh, you know what I'm going to say. Because the all is mind. The universe is mental. It always is going to start in your mind's eye, in your imagination. The temptation said it. Soon we'll be married and raise a family. Yeah, but it was just my imagination. And we take it for granted, our imagination. Then it is your imagination that will move you to change your life in a most beautiful way. So today, when you hear the bowl, because you know we have to hit the bowl, right? When you hear the bowl this morning, what would it be like if your life were changed 180 degrees? What would that feel like? You did a complete about turn, right? Yes, my cadet days. What would that be like to you? What would that make you feel like? Oh, what would that make you feel like to know that your life has changed? Entertain that. All of the good things, not who would abandon you. Man, you don't have time to think about that. What would it be like if your life were beautiful? Not if, man, I don't know if I could believe that I could have a beautiful life. I didn't ask you if you could believe it. I'm asking you, can you imagine? That's what I'm asking you. Can you imagine? That's the HP commercial. How much I love you. Moo, 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 moo. I know the only one for me, yeah, could ever be you. Huh. Sorry, I cannot help that. Every time I hear that phrase, can you imagine? I think of the HP commercial, right? HP barbecue sauce. Anyway, listen, can you imagine a beautiful life? I don't care what the world looks like. That's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking you, can you imagine something beautiful? Start there. And as you begin to imagine it, oh, it'll make you feel something. It'll stir you. It'll rouse you. So today, as we get the bowl, before we get the bowl, oh my God, I didn't even say hello to everybody. Oh my goodness. Hey Danny. Oh, let's go. I see you here on Twitter. It is always good to see you all. YouTube and Facebook is bumping today. Hello, Montreal. It's good to see you and thank you for becoming a member on our YouTube channel, Wisdom Almighty. I see you, the better man. Hey, Jeff, I see you. Cyber is in the house. Cyber has slap a heifer. Sorry, Cyber, you got me cracking up. Oh, Big Mike is in the house. It's good to see you. Oh, who's on FANBASE today? Miss Deborah is in the house. Oh, there, Deborah. Sorry, that's a Calypso song. Kimmy is in the house. Yo, yo, girl. Hey. Flo Smiles. Ah. Asia Just Stop is in the house. And Miss McQueen. Thank you all for being here on this glorious Tuesday. Don't let me keep you, because you know I gotta go and get all gussied up and get ready for WORK. But when you hear the bowl this morning, can you imagine something beautiful for your day, for the next 5 minutes? Something, it doesn't matter what that beautiful thing is. When you begin to imagine it, let it stir you, let it rouse you. Yes, let it do that for you today. Let me get the bowl. And fan base, you know we always end the day with you, don't we? But let's get that bowl out. I'm just getting things ready. But imagine, what would it be like if today was awesome for me? What would it be like if today was the most beautiful day I ever experienced? Let's start there. Countdown initiated. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Much love to each and every one of you. And tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we might read a lecture tonight. Or we might do, I can't believe I just smacked my lips. Somebody's awake. Or we might do a guided meditation. I have not yet decided. There he is. My little man is awake. My rooster is awake and ready for the day. Anyhow, my beautiful friends, thank you all for being here and spending time with us on this glorious, glorious Tuesday. And as always, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I look forward to spending time with you as we fall asleep. Much love to you, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter fan base. Hold on. I'll be there in a moment.